Hi there, Jamie Keat here today at Teachers Tech. Hope you're having a great day today. Today I want to show you how to use Camtasia 2021. So I've been using Camtasia to create all my YouTube videos, and I just love how I'm able to sit down at my computer and start creating right away. It just makes things incredibly easy. Now I'll be going through all the different ways I use it, or even like how I get the floating green head in front of my screen, and that's just done with a few clicks. So take a look down below in the description. You can see everything's timestamped, so you'll be able to jump around to different parts of the video if you're looking for something specific. So let's get started with Camtasia 2021 today on Teachers Tech. If you don't have Camtasia yet, I'll put the links down below so you can get it. There's also a 10% discount code that you can use. There's two different links. One's for use for education and the other's for personal use. The discount code will work for both of them there, but do take advantage of that if you don't have it yet. And just so you know, those are affiliate links. Now, when you go ahead and open Camtasia, you're going to get this first in 2021. And I'm just going to go ahead and create a new project. You can jump right to recording and everything, but I usually tend to start a new project. If I had projects already, I could open them from here, but I'm just going to go ahead and create new project. Camtasia 2021 will open up, and then we'll be ready to go ahead and capture our screens and bring media into it. So now it's all open. We're ready to get started with Camtasia 21. All right, let's start by creating some content. We're going to capture, what I'm going to do is capture my screen and capture from my webcam at the same time. Just here's a quick tip. Make sure you have good lighting. I have two different lights shining on me from the front, from each side, and I have one on my green screen too. Well, making sure it's well lit will make your videos look so much better. The other thing is thinking about having quality audio. You don't have to spend a ton on this. There's so many different mics out there too. I'll list what I have down below in the description. Not that you need the same things, but it'll give you an idea what I'm using to create my videos. So we're going to go ahead and start just by hitting record right up top. And this is how simple it is to get set up. So I'm going to hit record, and you notice it just drops down and I get this this window opening up here, and nothing started recording yet. Now I'm actually using Camtasia 2020 to show you this, because this wouldn't even be captured inside Camtasia 2021 if I was trying to show you. So what this is right here, so you have some options. I'm going to capture screen one. I have dual monitors set up, but I can say, oh, do I want screen one or screen two? And I could go and put screen two, and you can kind of see how that changes with all the different icons I have on that one. I'm going to capture from screen one, but maybe there's a region. So I could actually go through and draw an area like this, and you can see that now the capture is a smaller window. It's going to pick a certain one, or I can go through widescreen, 720p. You pick what you're going to want. I'm going to go back to screen one here. So it's going to select everything on my screen one to capture. What camera do I want? So I drop down. I have two different cameras I'm using right now. The one recording in Camtasia 2020 is the Brio. I find this is a far superior camera to this one, but I just wanted two different cameras set up so that you would see this right here. And I love in Camtasia 2021 how they've created this larger so you can get a quick glance to see where you are in the screen and how things are working on it. So I'm going to leave this at this webcam here. What audio do I want? So you can see where I could capture from the webcam if I want, but I have a separate mic that I'm going to do there. Do I want the system audio? Yeah, if I had any sounds or anything capturing from there, that's what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and hit start here, and then I'm going to open up Microsoft Excel for a moment just to give some different change in my screen here. So I'll just hit record. Now you don't see this anymore, but I still see that bar with the count to show me how long my video in a nice size, and it also will show me where I am in the video like this, but it disappears and I can keep it on the same screen still. So if I go ahead, I'm going to open up some Excel. So let's say I move over to this sheet here, and I'm just talking about one of my lessons that I'm teaching, and that's fine. And I have stop right in front of me here that I'm going to hit stop, and you notice that this bar comes back up again, even though you couldn't see the other ones. I'm going to go ahead and go over to Camtasia 2021, open that up, and I'm going to close this capture bar here. And now I have this captured. So if I go ahead, record, Now you don't see this anymore, but I still see that. Notice that in the middle, you don't see on my capture in 2021 what that screen, what that bar, it disappears after, because I'm recording it in a different program. Now you can also bring in other media. We'll do some editing in a moment here, but sometimes you're going to be editing other media. Lots of times I use Camtasia to edit other videos without even capturing. So I could right click right in here and go import media, or I could go ahead and hit import media right here. And let's say I want my intro. So because in all my videos I have an intro that I bring in, and I'm just going to hit open, and it's a video that I'll use, and I'll show you how I bring that in a moment. But then I'm going to bring in, we could bring in image too. So if I go ahead and grab an image, here's a one from just an old thumbnail that I created for YouTube. I can bring images in here too. So if you had songs or audio, you could bring it in here, and all your media is going to be right here. Okay, so now that we have some media brought into Camtasia 2021, let's show you how you can do some basic editing. Okay, so if you haven't saved your project yet, I would do that right away. Just go up and you can see File, go ahead, hit Save or Save As if you're renaming it, but make sure you save your project. The other thing I just want to point out, you can change your project settings. I tend to do it like this. So there's multiple ways to do different things, but I'm just going to show you how I work with Camtasia. Drop down and you can see there's project settings right here. You could change how, as I hover over different, if you were trying to do it on maybe an iPhone or something like that, it shows what it would look like. But you can go pick custom and then put in the numbers exactly what you want. I'm keeping at this at high def here, 1080p. I'm going to hit apply, could just hit cancel. All right, so we have it saved. We have our project settings. Let's talk just some basic editing in this Camtasia beginners tutorial. Here's how I work. Here's how I work with it. So if I select, now notice if I click the top track here, this is my webcam track here. Now if I click the bottom one, now this is my background. So Camtasia recorded it on 2 different tracks, and that's really important, especially with the green screen. To be able to eliminate it, I need those layers. Now, what I tend to do, if I click on any of these, notice on the right-hand side, there's properties. Now, if I have a clip selected, the properties show up for that clip. So you can see if there's scale, since I have my webcam one, as I make it larger, I can, it grows. Now this right away, if I hover over it, it has the move tool and I can move it around. Another way I size to is if I go up here, if you just have make sure this edit selected, you can go and grab your handles and size it like this. You notice there's a few other tools here that you can play with if you wanted it to kind of be see-through. A lot of times I'll change this to 0, and maybe you'll see this in video. If I don't want myself in there, I'll just do a cut and then have myself disappear just by changing the opacity on it. All right, so this tool right here is to move. This is your pan tool. The other tool I use lots is the crop one, because you can see with the green screen, I don't want this edge right in here. I just want it green behind me. So if I go to the crop like this, I can pull this in and make it just to the green like this. Make sure if I was selected on a different video track, that wouldn't work. You got to be on the video track that you're working on then I can position again. And if you want to move it again, make sure you switch back to this, because a lot of times if you try to size it, it's on crop, it won't work. You need to switch back to this handle, and then you can still change the size and everything like that. I'll show you a little later on in this video how to delete the green behind this, how you get the floating head on this. Now, just some basic editing here, since this is just a beginner's tutorial. We have our 2 different tracks, and here's the way you can split or cut something out of it. If I select on one track, I can drag from the beginning and I can trim. So I'm trimming just that one video clip. So if I hit play or hit the space bar, you can see it plays nothing. But I still see that. And then I pop on. So I can do it individually per track or whatever layer I'm on. Or if I have both selected, so I could draw my selection tool to have them both. You can see how they're highlighted, or I could click on one, hold shift and then select. And if I grab them both, now they're being trimmed at the same time. So a lot of times when I start recording, I always have some extra footage there at the beginning that I trim away just like this. And usually at the end, there's something I trim away to go. You notice this is a little lopsided. Sometimes it records one a little bit extra. I can trim them exactly. I could drag this back one at a time back to match like this. Or another thing I can do, and notice that you can do undo or Control Z. So if I go back a couple steps, you can see how, or I can go redo too. The other way I do this to trim, if I take my playhead and I just right click on top of my playhead right here. So I right click, notice I have split all. And if I have one selected, I can go split selected or split all. I'll go split all, and then I could select these clips right here. I could move them around, or I could just hit delete and then they're gone. So do notice whenever you click on a clip and watch these icons get highlighted, where you can either cut a clip, I'll undo that, or you can go through, you can see where you can paste it, copy paste, you can split your clip where it's selected, or you can even take a frame shot here. It'll take a picture of the frame, and I use this for my YouTube thumbnails. A lot of times I'll take a frame shot and it'll export it as an image, but I tend to do the right click just as a habit when I'm going through and splitting my clips. So very easy. If I wanted something out in the middle, maybe a chunk with both tracks, I might go split all and then move over and split all again, and then I can go ahead and take this chunk, maybe I want it somewhere else, or I can just hit delete and then I can move them back and fill in the gap just like that. Because when you're recording, you will make little mistakes, and sometimes you don't want to record the whole thing over again. You can just edit something out from the ends, or take that little mistake out, maybe that gap in the middle, and just piece it back together, and hardly no one will notice, and it's not that big of a deal to worry about, especially if it's a long recording that you just did. So some other things I just wanted to point out here is in kind of your size of the screen, I can bring this up. So I'm going to add a track. So notice I have track 1, track 2. I can click and there's another track added to it. So maybe I take this image that I brought in, I can drag this on top, and then what happens is if I hit play, watch the playhead, as soon as it comes over top of it, bar, this pops up. Well, I could move over, I could resize it here, move it up, and so maybe I want that with the count image just to pop up of that moment. I just drag it in over top on another layer and size it using this edit tool to quickly edit it to scale it to the size, or I could make sure I go over to the properties and see it over here too. All right, so those are just some basic editing here. I'm going to show you a couple other tips here, just so that if you're looking how to do something that it's quick to do, and that's with the right click on top of the clips. So for an example, if I go ahead and right click on this clip right here, you get all these different options that you can use. I use some different ones I'll use is clip speed, and I'll show you that in a moment on my intro. And I also sometimes separate audio and video, but you can take a look at the different things that you can do. If I go ahead and separate audio video, now I have another track added, but this is just the audio to this clip. So if I click off and just select the one, you can know, since it's just audio right now, I get this gain where I can make it quieter if I want. If I wanted the track to be quieter, I could just bring it down. Notice when I have this selected here, take a look at the properties, and it's open right here what you can switch with it. Again, you can always edit, undo any of these. And I talked about the clip speed, and this is it right here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this section, and I'm going to bring in my intro. So my intro is actually is too long. It's like 10 seconds long. It's too slow for how I use it, so I always speed it up. And what I do to speed this up, if I right click on it, and I pointed this out before, is add clip speed. So if I go add clip speed, I can go ahead and drag this down. So if I start dragging, notices the duration's getting shorter, shorter, and I tend to make this around 3 seconds. So I'm watching the time. So get to about 3 seconds, right? We'll go about right there. And so now I have this clip just like this. So again, if I look at the properties, keep looking at the properties, I could go ahead and adjust it up here. I'm just showing how I tend to do stuff. I could just write it in what I want up here. It'd probably be a little bit quicker, but always look at the properties at the same times. So hopefully that gets you into some basic editing. Let's move on with some of the more, some things you can do more in Camtasia. Okay, so I recorded another little clip and I just put this inside here with my other camera, so the quality of the Brio is better than I said the 922 in here. So I have this clip and I'm going to show you now some of the other features like the zoom tool, the green screen that I do inside my videos, and the cursor effect. So I'm going to drag this down. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to delete all this here. I'm going to drag this down into these two tracks right here. And notice as I drag, it automatically creates tracks if the tracks weren't there. So going back to this little review, what have I already did? I'm going to size quickly. So this is kind of like working over my shoulder. If I was editing here, I would size this. I could crop this like this. And you can see how quickly you can do all these things with Camtasia. So I have it cropped. And like I said before, when I record, you can see I'm doing nothing there at the beginning. Why would I want that on my video? So maybe I'd go to here and go split all. I would delete this and I can move this back to the beginning like so. So now I have, all right, so here's a little example. Me starting to talk right at the very beginning. So the next thing what I want to do is I usually get rid of the green, and I'll show you how quick this cool feature is. And this is under visual effects here. So the visual effects, and if I go down here, you can see that there's going to, at the very bottom here, there's remove a color. Now I'm not going to go over all of these different effects. These are something I'll create more videos about Camtasia, but I'm going to go remove a color. And again, there's different ways to do it. This is how I do this. I drag just on top of the and notice actually I'm going to go undo. It added to the both. I just wanted to add it to the top here, so but it did add it. And right away, as soon as I dragged it over top of this one, because this is where the green screen is, I want to remove a color of the green. If I look over here under properties, now I have this remove a color. And what I want to do is I'm going to click in this screen here. So I'm just going to click on this and notice that this eyedropper, I could choose a color here, but I'm going to use the eyedropper here, the dropper select tool, and move it over. What do I want to have removed? And I'm just going to click, and I try to click as close as I can to me, and I click, and look, the green is gone. And right now I notice there's a little bit of, and I'm going to zoom up so you can kind of see this a bit here. There's a little bit of green right here. So different things I could do to fix this is maybe improve the tolerance, but didn't like what happened there. So I'm just going to go undo that. But what I probably do is just crop that out, because I have that ability. Just crop this out here, because I can tell the lighting was a little off in that spot. So, but if I crop as tight as I can, it just can help eliminate any error. So if I hit play again of a demo using Excel, then you can see how clear it is with the contrast on the white there. So again, if I wanted myself to disappear at some point, maybe I take this top layer and I right click. I'm just going to split selected. So I haven't changed. I did make a cut. I'm just going to click in a couple different. If I go back to this one and go up to my properties here, so if I go up, I'm just going to make sure I'm under the right one here and move up to the very top under here and bring this down, so you can see I'm just going to click in a couple different spots. I'm still talking, this is but I've changed the opacity, all the dead weight to 0, so you can't see me. I could make another cut here and bring this back to 100, and then I'm back again here. But I just did here, just like that. So if I wanted myself to disappear or not, then that gets pretty easy. Now, the next thing I do a lot in my videos is I zoom up on things, and this is why I love Camtasia. Again, it makes it so easy, and that is under animation. So with animation, I can just zoom up on an area. So what clip, I'm selecting the background here, and I'm going to select and zoom up here, and I'm going to position where I need to be. I could position it right through here like this. So maybe I want to zoom up, and I'm going to back up my playhead and notice here using the, I zoomed up on myself too. I didn't want that. I can go ahead and delete this zoom. I can also, now if I go back, I have this effect here
using the Game of Thrones.
So it's zoomed up. I could change how long the zoom lasts for. I could make it longer or shorter just by grabbing that arrow.
Here using
and changing how fast it happens. So that's a great feature. So in another part of the video, maybe I go to somewhere else, I can just drag it over. Maybe if I'm pointing up here and I delete this here, so you can see the zoom is
using the
very quick to use. Now the third tool I use a lot is the cursor effect. And then you can see right on the side here, we have cursor effect, and I'm not going over these all again. I'll talk about more of this in more detailed videos in the playlist that I'll create for Camtasia 2021. So check the link down below in the description. I'll give more of those. I'm just using this highlighter, and I'm going to drop it onto my background. It's not on me, onto my background where my mouse is. And notice as soon as I just drag and drop,
so this is a good enough clip.
It's there. It moves around. Maybe I don't want it yellow. Check the properties again, and I can quickly change the color. And maybe I don't want it that dark. I want a little bit more see-through. So I can change the opacity to it
there.
And just that easy, it's going to follow my mouse. So those are 3 things that I do, some tips and tricks that I do inside my tutorials inside Camtasia that I kind of use all the time. So I want to show you a few more things that you can do in Camtasia to make sure that you're ready to get started. So I have 3 more things I want to show you before I show you how to export your finished video, and you can upload it to a place like YouTube or save it on your computer. But, and I'm going to leave this, what we've been working on down here. And the first thing is transitions. So this is really quick here. And transitions, I could have showed you this when I was editing, but between clips and different things in it. If I go ahead and let's bring in another clip. So I'm going to just bring in this clip right here again. So you can bring in multiple clips here too. So I'm just going to bring this side by side, and you can see how it kind of just jumps from one to the other. A transition, if I go ahead and take a transition, if I hover over them, you can see what it will do. But I can go ahead and drag it right over top of the 2 clips, and now it will go through, and I had a transition there.
So this is a good
So you can see as it goes through. If I click on the transition, just like anything, and this, I'm trying to point this out lots, check the properties after you click on that object or media, check the objects. Look how I can change it right from here. I can go ahead and change it to different ones from here. I could drag another one on top of it too. But if you wanted, I'll just quickly change it. And I'm only changing the top one. So I actually have 2 different ones here, but as I click on them, and you can also size how long you want these transitions. You can see as I drag, now these transitions are,
so this is a good
a lot different length. So that's something that you can play with, is with the transitions that you're just dragging and dropping in between the clips, and it could work between pictures or videos on it. All right, so the next thing what I want to show you is annotations, and I'm just going to select it right here. And notice everything's just kind of simply like drag and drop, check your properties after and how you can change it. Now with annotations, this is where I could add maybe like speech bubbles or arrows and text, but I can also do things like blur something if I have sensitive information I want. I could add keyboard shortcuts if I'm telling a person, people what a keyboard shortcut, the actual keys would come up. And I'll just show a couple examples here. So if I was going to maybe want myself with a speech bubble here, I have these ones here. I'm just under the callouts, and I can drag it down, and it goes to where my playhead is. So if I go ahead, drag it in, notice it's going to go, I could drag it. I'm going to undo that. If I drag it in this way and drop it, it goes to the same right where the playhead is. So with this, I can move this around on it. I can change the angle, what I want. Again, check all the different ways you can change this. Check the tabs up top here, because sometimes people won't notice that you can tab through these here. If I wanted it to be a different color, again, I can quickly change it. This is the font. I can write something in here, whatever like this. I can go through, change my font and all the different spacing in between it. So go ahead and play with those different things. Now, again, looking at some of the other options, and everything's going to be very similar to this. You have your arrows. You have some basic shapes that you can bring in. Here's the blur. So if I wanted to blur myself, if I drag this on top of myself like this, So notice it created another layer here on top. And again, check your blur. So this is the intensity, how much you want it. You can change how long you want these to be. Do I want my face blurred the whole way? You can drag it longer
using Excel
like this. So again, I use this if I have, maybe I've showed an email that I don't want or a phone number I can cover up very, very simply using this. We have, again, our sketch motion. And as I said, if you wanted some keyboard shortcuts, if I would just click and drag these in, and notice whatever I type over here, if it wasn't Control A, I'll just put T, or whatever I type, I can type it in here, and you notice as it starts to change like so. So you can go through and add these things, stretch it. It keeps adding the layers here. I can move these around at any time too. They're not glued to where I put them, but they're quick to move around. All right, so the last thing I want to show you before we get to our export is the library. The library is an amazing resource. And again, this is what I think makes Camtasia so good. So many things are right there for you. If I go to the library, we have different things. And again, I'm only going to show you a few because you can play and see what it will do. But we have our different icons. If you're looking to, if I'm teaching something, if I need an icon in education, and I'll just drag a cap here. I can bring these icons in, I can change them, I can move them around and place them. So you can have some fun of where you want them. Again, stretch it out for how long you want it to play for. So there's all these different icons. So go through these different ones. There's intros in here. So if I look, I'm going to click everything. Notice you can just drag everything. I'm moving it all over. And I'm going to, maybe I want an intro and I go through, well, here's a computer one. I'm just going to drag it in like this. And then I can go ahead and I'll move it back. So now I have this intro that with a little animation like this, and this is all included inside Camtasia. And I can go through and notice that you can go through and change things again by simply typing in, changing even the effects and how it comes in. But there's all these cool things. The other thing that's really handy are the lower thirds right here. So these here, and I'm just going to scroll down here. I'm going to just close out of this one because I don't open that other window. But the lower thirds are, if you want to put some information coming across, and I'll just show you one example here. We'll use this one. So if I have a lower third and I'm going to drag it in, and I'm just going to clip, you can see it come up.
Last Excel lesson.
They're so professional looking. And anytime I can, if I have it selected, check your properties, change your colors, change what it says. Take a look at all the different things that you can do to really customize these professional looking things to make your, your teaching or however you're using Camtasia to make it look so professional. All right, so that is kind of a beginner's overview with all the different things that Camtasia can do. But I haven't showed you how to export your final product. For me, I always export to YouTube, and everything, as we share as we go along. If we look at top, we have export. You could export it to a local file so it will save on your computer. So if I go export, you can go through these steps and you pick what you want to save it as. If it is MP4, if you wanted to save on your computer and upload it after, you can do that. You can pick your spots. You can go right to YouTube or Google Drive. So if I was going to YouTube, this is where I would sign in. And so it's going to go through and process this. And then when it's done, it's going to upload it right to YouTube. And I'm going to log in with my credentials. And it just makes it, again, very easy to export your final finished product that you can share it with everyone. So I'm really curious what you're looking to learn in Camtasia. I'm going to make a lot more videos on this. I just think it's such a great product. It just saves me so much time when I'm creating videos. Once I know what I want to create, I can sit down and just go through. I tend to edit in sections as I go along, but other people can record everything and edit it after too. But that's going to be on whatever formula you're going to find that works best for you. So thanks for watching this week on Teachers Tech. I'll see you next time with more tech tips and tutorials.